Okay, so just to finish off, the web part of this, which I showed was offline um, to begin with, that's part of the learning too, right? So we went over the database access. We started with the code access, also the terminal, um, but also in terms of full stack development, that's often associated with website development, but you could also associate that with an understanding of computer networks and how that works. So every instance that has its own unique URL, of course, just like that concept with the terminal being accessed via /TTYD and the database /PHPMyAdmin. If a student goes to um, my um, my app, then they can, if I type 33, there we go, my app double P, they get this error, right? Which is the upstream could not disconnect. If you're familiar with Marks and Spencer or the Co-op supermarkets in the UK, the Co-op bank, unfortunately, a few weeks ago, this was the exact error that was shown to customers for a few hours, if not longer, because unfortunately their service went down. And obviously that's completely irrelevant for customers, but for technical students being interested in this sort of thing, this is exactly what I mean in terms of revealing what's going on beneath. So this upstream is referring to a proxy that we're using called Envoy proxy in the background. That's used in large services like it started its life in Twitter, now called X, of course, but then a lot of companies use Envoy proxy. Famously, in a project called Kubernetes, Envoy proxy is right below in the depths of Kubernetes, and sitting on top of Envoy proxy is something called Istio. But we could go on. Um, the usefulness of this for the student, though, of course, is to have an understanding of website hosting and the basics of how do I get something online on the internet, because they've got the code here. And if they are doing a full stack development course, they probably will learn a little bit about HTML and the basic structures of creating a website. So for example, if we just do a classic HTML template here with a hello world, how do we get that to show in the browser publicly that they can send to their friends, right? Because that's how we got into technology. If you were into web development, it was that amazing feeling of, my goodness me, I've written this and anyone in the world can view this. It's pretty cool. So for this particular instance, we have to listen on a port number, and the port number is 5,000 because that's what we've set up for them. Again, it's always a challenge to decide what to set up for a student versus what to have them create. And for this, we're just simply going to set up a simple server running on port 5,000, and that would open up a discussion about what directory we're in, where's that file, why have we got that port number, what's this thing called Python, and what's dash M, what does dash M do, and things like that. What's a web server? And because they've got a terminal, they could install a web server like Apache or Nginx. And now, of course, fingers crossed, the demo gods, if we go forward slash, they've got that web page hosted. And of course, because they've also got a database, they can start connecting this up to a database. And I hear you thinking, goodness me, security, security. Yes, there's also limits that you can put in place on this. You can put bandwidth limits on here. You can also not have this running on the public internet. It's so simple how this is put together that a college can install this on a server on its own internal network, for example. So it's really self-contained, and really it's a nothing is hidden. You can go as deep or as high level as you want, thanks to everything being installed by default. We've been doing a Python example, but you could just as easily do Java because Java is also installed. And I think I've also automatically installed Node as well. So you could do the same example in Node. Yes, Node is installed as well. I forget which languages I installed by default. So yeah, that's the full story really. I think it's really exciting to remove the layers of the marketing layers, because you might talk about products instead of protocols. I like the phrase protocols, not products, because unfortunately the products can get in the way of learning. And when you are wanting to learn the protocols, um, systems like this like the open source project that this is based on, assembling all of these tools together, which is what I've thrown together these tools. It's basically standing on the shoulders of giants. The TTYD project, of course, Incus itself, Incus, which is this project here. And what else is there? There's obviously phpMyAdmin. There's obviously MariaDB. It's the assembling of these tools coming together that makes this possible. And I'll do another video on how this was put together as well. But it's surprisingly simple to roll all this stuff together, once you know how, of course. And each instance only takes a short while to spin up.